Now let's come, first of all, to Revelation 17. And I think we'll find it interesting that in the world today, as we view the things that are taking place in the world, and of course it's the first time in the history of the world that we can have instantaneous communication from anywhere in the world at any time. Okay? Remember when there was the earthquake in Japan? Bam! Right away, what did we have? All the things going on, and we could see the tsunami wave coming in and wiping everything out. Just like that. And what does it say in Matthew 24? There shall be earthquakes in different places. Okay. All right. Now here, Revelation 17. Here again, we have symbolic language. If you don't know the truth of it, if you don't know about the Babylonian mystery religions, if you do not know about the woman who is the counterfeit of the Church of God that goes back to Jezebel, okay, then you won't understand it. Okay, Revelation 17, verse 1. And one of the seven angels who had the seven vials came and spoke with me, saying, Come here, and I will show you the judgment of the great whore who sits upon many waters. All right? The Bible interprets itself. Come over here to verse 15. Then he said to me, The waters that you saw where the whore sits are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. Okay? A worldwide thing. Okay? Now come down here to verse 18. And the woman whom you saw is the great city that has royal power over the kings of the earth. Now, since a woman pictures a church, and since she is a great whore, that means she is doing the things that are against God. Yet to the world appears to be of God, as we'll see a little later. Okay? What church in the whole world, what one church has ambassadors from every nation in the world? The Vatican. No other church. Okay? So you take the symbolic language and you look at the facts, and this is not symbolic, this is true. Okay? All right? Now let's see what else happens here. Okay? Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, made alliances with the various religions. We will see more than just the Roman Catholic Church. See? Because as we will see, she had daughters. Now what happens when daughters grow up? Well, they're women. So now you have more than one woman. Okay? Many religions. Okay? And those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Does that mean they had a great wine factory over here and made wine and the whole earth got drunk? No. That is language saying that this is spiritual intoxication because of wrong doctrine. See? Has the world been deceived by all the religions of the world? Yes, indeed. Let's go on. And he carried me away in the spirit to a wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns, full of names of blasphemy. Interesting. Scarlet beast. That has to take you back to Daniel 2, Daniel 5, Daniel 7, Revelation 13, and all of them give the interpretation of what it means. And the woman was clothed. Now you do this. You can go online to the Vatican website, and watched their ceremonies. And here's what you will see. Woman was clothed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and pearls and precious stones, and she had a golden cup in her hand filled with the abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Have you ever watched a papal mass? Everything there is gold. Have you ever seen the big tower that is the supposedly, what would you say, the throne canopy in the Vatican? Made of serpentine columns. Who is the serpent? Who does that commemorate? Okay, so it all comes out when you understand what he's talking about is real. Okay? And across her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and the abominations of the earth. Now then, the daughters come home. Did the Roman Catholic Church kill true Christians who wouldn't submit? Yes. Have the Muslims killed true Christians? Yes. Have the Buddhists killed true Christians? Yes. All of the other religions of the world have killed true Christians. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Now this is interesting because it tells us two things. The saints are those who have the Holy Spirit. With the blood of the martyrs are those unconverted people who are for Jesus but not converted, that will stand for Jesus but will be killed. So God's not going to forget them. Okay. Then he says that he will show her the mystery of it. All right. Now, since it's all nations, all religions, let me read you something here. This latest pope, now let's frame this in the way that it should be framed. This pope is supposed to be the last of the Catholic prophecies of popes. The last pope. Okay? Every time I look at him, I say to myself, doesn't look like he's going to live too long. Okay? So if he dies, do you think that will end the Catholic Church? How do you think that they are going to explain it? I mean, look at all the churches that have had false prophecies that bang, it came up to the time, remember who it was here a couple years ago, said, Harold Camping, Lord is going to come on this day. Well, I was off a year. Well, I'm going to come on this day. Sorry, I was wrong, but thank you for all your money. I spend it. You don't get any back. Okay? They always come up with a new doctrine. Okay? Now let's read. I'll read this, and then we can draw a scenario. Okay? And we will see. Now this is from the NTEB news text. That must be the new, what is NTEB? I don't know what that is. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, it's some religious organization. Okay? And the headline is, Pope Francis unites Hindus, Muslims, and Buddhists to sign a pact with Rome. Did you know that they are allowing Muslim prayers in the Vatican? Did you know that last week an imam gave the opening prayer in the House of Representatives? See, so much is happening, it's almost impossible to keep up on it. But think on that for a minute, because people have been convinced if all religions could get together and help control the people so we don't fight in war against each other, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing, and we would have world peace? Now, they're going to need something else to do it, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay? So here's the article. Rome is very smart, always has been. That's why we have in the appendix of the Bible Rome's challenge to the Protestants why they should keep the Sabbath and not Sunday, written in 1893, published in the Baltimore Mirror, 4 Sabbaths in a row in July. You read that. Okay? Now continuing, they know that in order to unite the faith, they must focus on humanitarian projects that nearly everyone can agree on and work together to try to solve. It doesn't matter whether it's about poverty, perceived injustice, abortion, slavery, or any other subject. These are all mental conditioning exercises that Pope Francis is conducting to get all the religions into the same tent. Once everyone is together, Rome will be the leader, and as you can see, it's working beautifully. Are you so mean that you wouldn't want to help these poor starving people? You mean you wouldn't give them any food? And you say you're a Christian? And you condemn us for what we're doing? And call us the great whore? What are you doing? Are you feeding the poor? You're already intimidated, right? Okay. Religious leaders from half a dozen faiths signed a new Vatican Initiative Tuesday to end modern-day slavery by 2020. All those who were slaves, sex slaves, slaves sold by the Muslims and everything, okay? Declaring that human trafficking, organ trafficking, and forced labor and prostitution are crimes against humanity. Not against God, but humanity. Okay? Pope Francis was joined by the Hindu guru Mamrita Ana Anumai at the end. They have a lot of those anas in the Hindu language, known as Amma, as well as Buddhist, Anglican, Orthodox, Jewish, Shiite, and Sunni Muslim leaders in signing a joint declaration and an unusually high-profile ceremony inside the Vatican. And I imagine that that is all on the Vatican site. I think it would be interesting to get that. Okay? The declaration commit the signatories to do everything in their power within their faith community. See, now they're not asking them to join the Catholic Church and believe their doctrines, but as grown daughters coming back to Mama, Mama, you can't tell me what to do anymore. However, let's work together. See? Have I not said that for how many years that was going to happen? Yes, and here it is right in front of our eyes. Okay? To work to free an estimated 35 million enslaved around the world by 2020. Now, isn't that a worthy project? Anyone who condemned that would not be Christian, would not believe in God. See? What about if people repent and then those things would stop because of repentance? All right, let's go on. In the eyes of God, each human being is a free person, whether girl, boy, woman, or man, and is destined to exist for the good of all in equity and fraternity, the Declaration read. Francis has made eliminating modern-day slavery one of the key priorities of his pontificate, inspired by his ministry in the slums of Buenos Aires, etc. Later this week, the Vatican launched the Global Freedom Network. Oh yes, here's another foundation to work, organization. A multi-faith initiative to encourage governments, businesses, educational, and faith institutions to rid their supply chains of slave labor. Now we will listen to a video, okay? And this is by Rick Warren, who was recently celebrating Mass at the Vatican with the Pope. Very interesting, isn't it? The way that you come to compromise the truth is by dialogue on things you agree upon. That way, then, we can soften you up from your hard stance on truth. See how cleverly that works? And just like we discussed. Not structurally, you don't have to become part of the Roman Church, but your faith community can work toward the goals that we all agree upon. Now then, since Pope Francis has started this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful work, and it's working in with Protestants because they have been beaten down and haven't repented. See? And that warning of 1893, they didn't listen to. And it was a warning. Okay? So now, they'll be deceived. And it's going to be greater. We're going to bring all churches back, all religions back. They've planned for it for a long time. Here it is, world scripture. I've given sermons on this and church at home on this. A comparative anthology of sacred text. So it's got in here from the Bible, from the Quran, from the Hindu religion, from the Buddhist religion, from the Shinto religion, from Confucianism, from Aminism, all of the good, lovely things to make a world religion. So they've got the book already. Now then, let's come here to Revelation 18. Let's see something very interesting here. Okay? Revelation 18. Let's read this because this becomes very important. Verse 1. And after these things I saw an angel descending from heaven having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried out mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a habitation of demons and the prison of every unclean spirit, and the prison of every unclean and hated bird. Because all nations have drunk of the wine of the fury of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the power of her luxury. Where do most of the profits of all the companies in the world come from? Why is the day after Thanksgiving called Black Friday? Because of witchcraft? No, because that black symbolizes profit. Red symbolizes non-profit or debt. So they have to have Black Friday, which kicks off the profit for the whole year for these companies, and many of them have 40% more or more of their income come in during the time from Thanksgiving to the end of the year and into the after holiday sales. Okay? All nations, just about every nation in the world today, celebrates Christmas, even though they don't acknowledge Christ. But it's a good thing to do. But the truth be known, all of us good pagans always do this and have done it for thousands of years. See? All right? But notice what the angel said. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people." That is the people who belong to God. "So that you do not partake in her sins, and you do not receive of her plagues, for her sins have reached as far as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Render to her, as she is rendered to you, and give to her double even according to her works, and the cup that she mixed, bring her back double," or give to her back double, rather. "To the degree that she has glorified herself and lived luxuriously, give to her as much torment and sorrow. For she says in her heart, I sit a queen, enthroned, and am not a widow, and in no way shall I experience sorrow. All of the daughters come home." Now let's come to Revelation 6. And let's see what the first seal says. The white horse. Now we don't know exactly when this started. But there has to always be a lot of groundwork working up to the final event, which depicts it clearly. So, I'm not going to ring my bell because I think this is how it's going to happen. Okay? All of this good work that the Pope is doing in the world will say, well, this is good work, right? How can you deny? Can you deny that it is good to keep people out of slavery? No, you can't deny that. It is good to do it. But remember, what tree did Adam and Eve eat of? The tree of the knowledge of evil and evil? No, good and evil, see. But it's the evil that keeps you away from God. Okay? So here, chapter 6, verse 1. And I looked when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say, like the sound of thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, there was a white horse, and the one sitting on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. Now notice, there are no arrows. It says a bow. Is all of this coming together being accomplished without a war? But is he conquering them bit by bit by bit? Yes, by bringing them home. Okay? So I don't know when this seal was opened. Or will there be a fulfillment of it this way? everything we've seen leading up to this time is background work for this to be developed. And Francis dies. Bang. Now then, what will be the opportunity? Because the Catholic Church is not going to go away when he dies. The other religions are not going to go away when he dies. So what do? You find a new and better cause, right? And what could force all the religions really to come back together in a very powerful way? A new pope. And since that prophecy did not work, now we have a new beginning. And this is what the Catholic Church will stand for, and all the other churches of the world stand for as well. All the other religions together. And we want to bring peace to this earth. Aren't you tired of war? Aren't you tired of fighting? Aren't you worn out from all of these things? And we will help our governments to do this. Doesn't that sound like a willing, a real thing that everyone would fall in line with? We saw what Rick Warren said, and he has probably been a Jesuit plant for years, as well as, what's his name, Kenneth Copeland, probably many others. And they will all magically, because God is going to put it in their heart to agree with Satan, the devil, and do it. Okay? Now then, we know when the second seal is open, that's the beginning of the Great Tribulation. But come back here for a minute to Revelation 13. Because what they're going to find is this. Why, we can see traces of Christianity in all these other religions with their good works. Right? So we can agree with that. And after all, now, we have a world Bible. What a wonderful thing. Okay? Now, Revelation 13, here we go. We know the political power is going to come, but let's look at this for just a minute. Verse 4. This is important because this is already happening. Okay? And they worship the dragon, that's Satan the devil, who gave his authority to the beast, and there are two meanings to that. The meaning of the world government system that is coming, and the meaning of the leader of that. It applies to both. Just like with Daniel, the second chapter, with Nebuchadnezzar, he was the first king, but it was his empire. Same thing. Okay? And they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who can make war against him? See, so they were worshiping the dragon. So let's ask a question. How many people in the world, under the different ways of religion and ways of society, do people worship Satan the devil? They can worship him because they don't worship the true God. If they're hooked on music, they're worshiping Satan. If they're hooked on sports, they're worshiping Satan the devil. Okay? And then you take like any of these major sports, basketball, football, baseball, they all come together in the temple of where their team plays, correct? And they're all enthusiastic with it, right? They buy coats, they buy hats, they buy sweaters, they buy shirts, they buy luggage, they buy shoes, all in honor of their God. Some of them, frankly, are more zealous than people in the Church of God. So a little think on that for a minute. Okay? Now let's come down here to verse 11. And I saw another beast rising out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, but spoke like a dragon. So is this when the first seal is open? Okay? So maybe what I just explained is what is going to happen. Bang! Here will come the last pope, and that is going to be a magical thing on the earth. All right? Spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and those who dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now, let's tie a little bit more in on this. What do you find on the History Channel all the time? Ancient aliens. Aliens brought religion to the earth. The Vatican is looking into things to try and find out about aliens. So here, all of a sudden, Satan manifests himself in such a powerful way that now the leader is the manifestation of God in the flesh. And the Pope is his spokesman, and he calls fire down from heaven. That's what it says, verse 13. And he performs great wonders, so that he even causes fire to come down to the earth from heaven in the sight of men, and deceives men who dwell on the earth by means of the wonders that were given to him to perform in the sight of the beast. Everybody's set up with lies and emotions, right? Just think how powerful that will be, to call fire down from heaven.
Could that be like a parallel between Elijah calling down fire from heaven and saying...
Yeah, that's a good question. Is that like Elijah? He'll say, see, I'm just like Elijah. See? But it's a counterfeit. It's of Satan. See? And all the world will come in. They'll be enthusiastic. I saw the miracles that happened. People were healed. How were they healed? Well, the demons left them, because Satan controls them. Okay? Magical things happen. People hugged and kissed each other that were enemies and ready to kill each other before. This has all got to be of God. All right. Now then, how is that going to happen? How is that going to take place? Something else has to happen to make it possible. And that's what is brought out with the mark of the beast here. Okay? Now then, verse 16, and this is the beast to whom they made the image, and he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free and the bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads, so that no one may have the ability to buy and sell unless he has the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name. All right. Little update on the mark of the beast. Remember, there's the chip. We covered that the last time we were here. Remember, there's the tattoo. And the tattoo has certain chemical and electrical qualities to it that connects to the bioelectrical impulses within your body so it can work all the time. Now then, I have said for years, this is not for buying and selling alone, but to control. All of you have cell phones. That comes into your pocket wherever you are. You can't see the rays, you can't hear the rays when they come, but the frequency comes and your phone rings and you pick it up and you answer it, right? All right. They're working on ways to control people. And they are working on ways so that it will work with the tattoo or the chip or in the forehead. Why in the forehead? Does that have something to do with the brain? Does this have something to do with the brain and the emotions? I've got an article here, Total Recall. Steve Ramirez and Zhu Liu. Guess what they've invented? This happened at MIT, and that's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Oh, down the hall from Professor Gruber. And they consider themselves the brilliant elect of the world. And they've been tinkering with rats and mice to find out how the brain works. And so they developed a way to implant in a mouse brain, which is a precursor to human brains, experiences that never happened, and lodge it into their memory. So they were able to train this rat, put it in a box, put it in another box, okay? And in the other box, they went ahead and electrocuted it, not electrocuted it, but shocked it in its feet. Boom! Okay? They then took the things from the hippocampus of that, which is part of the brain, and saw how that registered on the hippocampus of the brain, and then transferred that into a mouse who had never had that experience, and put it into the box. And then they had two little wires coming out of the brain of that mouse, and with laser light was able to make that mouse totally afraid that it would be shocked in the feet when he was never, ever there. But the experience was transferred from one brain to another. Now think of what they are doing for human beings with that. See? So, the mark of the beast is going to be something. And why are they working on all of these things? And they are calling these two men the brilliant of the brilliant. Oh yes, how good we are here at MIT. And we know all of these things. Okay? Just wait. Remember, the internal combustion engine started with what? One cylinder. Now we have rockets going to outer space. The telephone started with the telegraph wire, and then the hand crank phone. And now we have the cell phone you can carry around wherever you are. And they also are saying now that we'll put it in you. Okay? Let's just insert the phone right in your tooth. What happens if it shorts? You're electrocuted on the spot. Okay? All right, how about this? And when I bring this out, I want you to think about all those huge buildings up there in Utah. And remember this, that many of those in the agencies of the United States government, though they get paid by the United States government, do not have loyalties to the United States government, nor to the people of the United States. Why do they have millions and millions and millions of square feet of buildings dedicated to digital things? Could it be there's enough capacity there so that when the mark of the beast is given to all of those who take it, that they will have the number and they will be able to control through ubiquitous microwaves everywhere around the world to control every person so they won't be violent. We now have peace. We all love one another. And what does 1 Thessalonians 5 say? When they say peace and security, sudden destruction comes upon them like a woman in travail. Brethren, I think we need to understand this. All these events that we read of in the Bible, and everything that's going to transpire is going to be bigger and greater and more fantastic than we have ever imagined in the past. You tie in all of this transhumanism and cyborgs. What are cyborgs? Well, they're human beings with animal genetics in them. Just think of going to a basketball game where the leading player has kangaroo leg genes in him. And now we have to put the basket up to 15 feet because he can jump so high. Whoop, boom. Okay? Think about it. It's going to be something. So I just wanted to update you on these things, to say nothing of what's going to happen to the economy. See, did I tell you last time that at the latest G20 meeting down in Australia, all of the central banks have agreed that all money and all accounts everywhere above whatever certain amount the government sets is an investment. It is not money. And when the bank fails, the bank can take that money to pay for its debt, and you can't have it. Remember Cyprus? Day's going to come around the world. One Friday night, all banks are going to close for 10 days. And they will have to come up with a new currency. Don't worry, they'll have it all ready, because they don't want to have all the riots and wars that are going to take place unless they have it ready. Why would you think the leading central banks of the whole world would agree to that, to do that, unless they had something planned? So think about it. These are going to be big things that are going to take place. Now also, I mentioned too, remember Jesus said the gospel will be preached to all nations, to the whole world, be published to the whole world. Now we can do that digitally. Think of the hundreds of thousands of websites that have the Bible and parts of the Bible on it. Think about the websites that have the whole Bible on it. Think about all of those preaching various parts of the gospel, whether in sincerity or not sincerity. Think about all the warnings that have come financially, economically, health-wise, and everything that have been going out there. God is going to send a witness that is going to be so great. You know, when you read in Revelation 11 that all on the earth will see the dead bodies of the two witnesses lying in the streets of Jerusalem. How are they going to see it? Unless we have all of this universal thing where you can know everything all at once. And that's why the return of Christ is going to be so awesome. And that's why it's going to be so destructive. It is going to be a thing, brethren, that is going to be absolutely awesome. The very power of God and the return of Christ to this earth And the whole world will be in such an uproar that it's going to fight Christ. Now think about what we need to do between now and then. And think about how our lives need to be between now and then. So I will leave you with that. The Word of God is true, and it's going to happen, and it'll probably happen even far greater than what I've been inadequately able to describe today.